if they really had an interest in dealing with our issues, they'd sit down and they'd say, we acknowledge your issues. We understand your issues. Let's solve your issues. That doesn't happen.
Right.
Instead, what we've gotten is, let's move faster, let's bury the facts, and let's not address issues that need to be analyzed. So if that's how we're proceeding, then I guess we're doing what they expected, which was, we got to go fast. If we don't get fast, we threaten to leave town. And if the city doesn't capitulate to what we want, then I guess we just walk away. But that's not how you build a mega project. That's not how you do a development that's this complicated. That's not how you build $12 billion, which is what they're claiming of total project infrastructure. You don't walk into someone else's neighborhood. In this case, it's the port, and it's our industrial working complex, and say, I'm going to take away a resource of yours, and then not tell you how you're going to compensate for it, how you're going to make it better, or how you're going to mitigate those impacts. So, what we hear, and I guess maybe this is a extended way of answering that question, but what we hear from the A's with respect to our issues is, we don't believe you. That's what we hear from the A's, right? They essentially say that Howard Terminal is vacant or it's not being used. We have 325,000 truck moves or more a year out of that terminal. Just because it doesn't have a master tenant agreement with the port for use of the ship-to-shore gantry cranes doesn't mean that that terminal is vacant. And so the idea that they could just waltz in and not have to find new locations for where they're displacing that activity, that's just silly. But that's where we're at. And it's been 3.5 years, and not once have they said, here's where we're going to replace that acreage. We know it's important to you. That would be a start. That's one of the challenges for the A's, is that city, and that's why they want to rush this thing, right? So the city council members have basically said, we only want to make a decision. We have all the facts. And as long as there's still discussions out there about what this project looks like, what's the scope of the project, what are the impacts, what's the financing, how much transportation do we have to do, what are your guys' issues on the waterfront? Until we have answers to all those things, they basically said, we're not going to make a commitment to this. Like, it's just a huge project. It's going to cost just what the A's put on their term sheet, about $1.5 billion in public money. They've basically been saying, like, we're not rushing into anything. And they haven't told us, no, they're not going to support the project, but they're also not of the opinion that, they're just going to like rubber
blindly. Yeah.
They offered us absolutely zero objective basis for the conclusion that it's not viable. For all the fighting over that site, I mean, it's 150 acres smack dab in the middle of the Bay Area. Everyone knows that that's a really prime development location. You have a lot of space to build a lot of potential housing, job site locations, retail, entertainment serving, and a ballpark. And so we don't know, and we would just be speculating as to why. But I think the odds on speculation is, you just can't generate as much revenue out of that location as you can at the waterfront.
Right.
The charge, I think, in conventional wisdom is that obviously if the A's can make more money at one location than the other, that's the one they prefer. As a business, that's not the worst decision ever, to try and maximize your revenues when you can. But that doesn't mean that you walk away from a community that's supported you. That doesn't mean as a city you turn around and you just say yes. You still have to analyze all of those impacts. And then from where we're sitting, representing the maritime industry, we think the city of Oakland is actually well suited to get a huge win-win out of a project at the Coliseum. There aren't a lot of cities that have the opportunity to have a working deep water seaport and a Major League Baseball team. Oakland has both. there aren't a lot of cities that have the opportunity to have investment occurring on both ends of those questions with respect to industrial jobs, blue collar jobs. That's what we do at the port. But also, you know, exciting new reinvestment in a part of the city that needs it in terms of brand new entertainment complex, like you could have at the Coliseum location with the new ballpark. And so both of those things can be happening at the same time.